All right, we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest again is Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall. And I wanted to hit one more time, just because I know I touched on this at the beginning of the show, and you just mentioned it now. In terms of things maybe being done differently, are you considering sending out your deputies in pairs on most of these calls that sometimes you would send out singular?
Yeah, we're going to evaluate that as kind of the warrant-related calls and where we go. There's another part of our job, and is we're going to serve most 98% of the time is a civil process. It's not a criminal warrant, but we're going to Nick Barris's house and we're serving a civil warrant when you're also wanted for a criminal charge, which happens. I think we're looking into whether that would then require 2 deputies to go for a while, and let's see how that goes. But we're looking into that, and of course technology and equipment and communication is always a problem for us. A town like Nashville, believe it or not, the radio systems aren't perfect, and that's always a concern of our staff when they don't feel safe if they don't communicate well. So we're working on equipment, training, and hopefully, like I said before, we want to get them some information about what really are some of the needs of we used to call it cultural awareness, but we really do need to be more mindful of what's going on. And it's not just the protests and all that, but it is about Nashville has changed dramatically from when a lot of these folks came to work and were trained originally. So we're trying to get that up to speed and make some changes internally as well.
All right, let's go next to Robert. Hi, Robert.
Yeah, hey, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I got a quick question for the sheriff. Do you have a right to defend yourself in your own home, sir?
Sure you do. I mean, now don't. That doesn't always mean you can shoot somebody if that's what you're asking me.
No, sir. Not in that aspect. All right, I got assaulted. I had somebody hit me in my home, and I defended myself by, fighting back, and he got arrested, and I got arrested, and I don't think that I should have been arrested for defending myself in my own home.
Well, and I can see where you feel that way. And let's this is one thing society does, and we all do it. I'm guilty as well. But because you're arrested doesn't mean you did anything wrong. I know it feels that way, but our system is set up to let that be handled in a non-emotional, not in your living room, not in the police car, not in the jail, but in an open setting in a court, where those facts can weigh out. We just talked about the Corey Beatty situation. If you know anything about that, that was all on video, but that didn't mean he was guilty until the jury and the judge found him that way. So I know it feels that way to you, but if you defended yourself in your own home and listening to you, that's exactly what the system is designed to do: get you in front of a judge or a jury, an impartial group, and they'll weigh the facts and make the decision. It sounds like that'll work itself out.
And if that was in Davidson County, it would have been the sheriff or the police department,
right,
not the sheriff, that probably would have responded. Let's go next to Ethel. Hi, Ethel.
How you doing this morning?
Good, Ethel.
Good morning.
What's your question?
Well, first of all, I want to say that my heart is ripped with the things that's going on in this world today. And I was listening to a man that just called about 2 people before me talking about black on black crime. We can't just look at that. When you think about Sandy Hook and the churches up there in the Carolinas, the theaters, the clubs and all, those are not black people doing that. So you just can't do it like that. When you say stuff like that, that upsets people. And it makes it seem like they're just picking on one color. And I do want to say that my heart goes out to all the people that's involved. It's not right for people to be picked on because of their color or their profession. That is wrong. And I do believe that the people, the one that's doing this, if you think about it, they kind of messed up in the mind. And I don't think that they conjuring this up on their own. I believe that somebody else knows that they're mixed up in the mind, and they're talking them into doing their dirty work. And I also think that the marching and demonstration that people are doing, if they spend that energy out in the street, in the public, where they're being seen, have prayer visuals, march for God, because God is the only one that's going to stop this. Man can't stop it. We need more love. We need more trust. And we need to just sit down and our woke up this morning. I got on my knees, and I just couldn't fathom the thing that's going on. And I got on my knees. I mean, I cried and prayed and asked God for Him to stop this. Because men can't stop it. We got to turn to God. This is God's job. Men can't stop it.
Well, yeah.
I tell you what, I think we should start an Ethel for president. I'm going to vote for her. She's,
but the problem is, and she does talk about all this, you know, stop it. After Dallas, as if it didn't happen before that, the president, leaders, everyone, law enforcement saying this has to stop. And then we have what happened yesterday. You know, words alone aren't going to make this change. I mean, there's going to have to be actions. And what I mean by actions is what you were talking about. More sensitivity out there in the field by law enforcement. Right. And, you know, I think they, by and large, do a great job, but there are a few bad apples. There's going to have to be fewer of these police-involved shootings that are very, very questionable. Right. Not that any of that justifies this violence now. That's ridiculous that you respond with violence like this. But some of these questionable shootings involving officers, especially within the African-American community, they are sick of it. And I think I can understand that. Now, that's not a justification, but you know what I'm talking about. If those keep happening, no amount of words is going to stop this senseless violence from occurring.
Yeah, no, you hit it too. I mean, I think all of that's true, and I think it's important. We, we have to be willing. We in law enforcement, we in government, to step up and say this is unacceptable, whatever it is. Let's call it a shooting,
you have
or
to
call
say
it.
That, sure.
On the other hand, I think Ethel's right too. I mean, the marches or the peaceful marches are reasonable, and I think are a good cause and a good purpose. Unfortunately, there are people. It reminds me when I was growing up, believe it or not, of almost the idea of music convincing people to do something bad to themselves or other people. I remember this whole craze was,
Tipper Gore wanting to put warnings on there, and I'm sorry, that kind of censorship now.
It's the reality of motivating people to do something. I do think rallies can get people excited and wound up to do things that they should or shouldn't do, but ultimately we've got people in this country who shouldn't be allowed to carry weapons because of their mental health history or their criminal history or so forth. We also have the leaders of organizations, whether it's Black Lives Matter or the next march about the next issue, that need to take responsibility for some of who are active, just like police need to take responsibility for their actions.
Did you see, wasn't it the sheriff in Cleveland that's asked the governor, Kasich, to maybe to change the law to not allow people to bring weapons to the convention? And Kasich said, well, that's not within my powers. But I mean, he's concerned enough about a lot of these people, maybe many of them Trump supporters, showing up as they legally can with these big weapons strapped to their sides, and it's like, I know it's your right, but use some common sense. And I fear that's going to put everyone at risk. If they think look, I don't want you with your AK-47 out there trying to protect me. I want law enforcement. I don't want you to do it. And I think most people don't want other citizens to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the call about protecting yourself in your home, and I'm all for all that. It makes me, I mean, this is going to be, I tell you, I'm nervous about, the week in front of us, really.
I worry about what's going to happen in Cleveland. I sure hope it goes peacefully, but boy.
Me too.
It's going to be a lot of people. Let's go to Grady. Hi, Grady.
Hey, Nick and Sheriff.
Good morning.
I got to tell you, when I listened to your show the other day, and you had Reverend Fuzz on there, and he got pulled over for speed walking, but at least he didn't get pulled over for taillight being out. But, they were really hard, the people from NAACP, on Chief Anderson. And I think he's bent over backwards to accommodate these people. And they were talking about that the preachers didn't have anything to help, that Anderson was talking to the preachers more than he was anybody else about helping people. And I think, if you're going to have anybody solve this crime or solve the crimes that's happening to black people, you got to have the preachers involved.
Sure.
And they really were hard on him, and I think the Reverend Fuzz said that you didn't really need to thank him other people for being on, and I have a tendency to agree with him. When they go to court, they call the preacher in, and if he can do anything to help them, they're doing it. And, they got to get off Anderson, I think, because you look at Dallas, they did everything to get the police training that they needed, and then this crazy dude went out there and shot 12 of them. And, you know, it's kind of sad. But, you know, when a man gets arrested and put in the paddy wagon, he expects to get in jail and not be killed on the way to jail.
Right.
And I got to give Sheriff Hall credit. You know, he runs a good show out there. So far, it's been out there off a Hardy place, but I don't know where they talk about putting it now. But hang in there with them.
Yeah, thank you, Grady.
Thank you, Grady.
One of the guests was hard on Chief Anderson. Reverend Fuzz talking about how, you know, he really respects the conversations. The other guest was saying there's other things going on. And I'll say this, from my perspective, some of the stories we've done in some of these protests where I think Chief Anderson has backed off and allowed them, if they wanted to block part of the interstate briefly, he allowed it as opposed to allowing it to escalate. He's already, I think, put 2 or 3 officers on paid administrative leave for posting what he deemed inappropriate things on their Facebook with relations to some of these incidents. I mean, do you monitor that with your deputies? Do they know not to put anything stupid on their Facebook pages?
No.
Okay.
No. Do they know? Yes.
Let's use some judgment here.
Do they know better, or are they told? Yes. You know, it is a moving target, the whole social media world, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or blogging about things. I mean, there's a lot of issues out there. But yes, I mean, I'm fascinated with the police department taking such a swift stance on that. We have a role to play in this community, which means you're representing everyone. And if you come out on one side of one of these issues or such a large issue, and you're you know, paid to protect and serve, it's very difficult to get the community.
No one's kidding themselves. We all know we have opinions to some degree, but on the public forum like that, that's why I just wondered to some degree, just judgment goes out the window.
Right.
I don't know if people just don't think. I guess we all make mistakes, but man, you're exactly right. You represent everyone. Keep your opinions to yourself and just be a professional. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with more right after this.